Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Alyeska Pipeline Service Company, sustaining Alaska's pipeline and its operations today and into the future.
The National Weather Service.
Welcome to your Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Perry Danny. This is your Alaska Weather for April 20th, 2010. You can follow us on www.arh.noaa.gov as well as on Facebook and Twitter. Starting off with satellites tonight, as I put it in the loop, we have a low pressure system sitting in the just south of St. Paul region, bringing a southerly push and a swath of moisture streaming over from the Pacific into the Bering. Over the southeast, we have pretty much mostly sunny skies all the way extending up into the Copper River Basin and into the central interior north of Fairbanks. Put it into loop. We have a low pressure system, a occluded front, occluded low that's down south of, well south of Kodiak, and trailing a occluded front extending in those portions just south of the Gulf region. So you are getting a southerly push and some high clouds starting to make it into the southeast panhandle, but not much to talk about. Then over farther north, putting the satellite in the loop again, we're going to have this easterly flow, high pressure dominated over the Beaufort Sea again, and that's easterly flow will bring continued low stratus and some snow and blowing snow along the Arctic coastline. Then over the western Aleutians, you have there's the low pressure system sitting over here with the trailing trough extending through the Shemya region. That'll bring continued northeasterly flow and cooler temperatures, plenty of moisture in this region here. So you have a wintry mix with that, and then there'll be more snow showers as you get down to Shemya with the cooler temperatures. And then there will be a slight break in the central Aleutians there, east of Adak and extending over to Dutch. So they'll have, for once, mostly sunny skies there in the Bering. Usually it's overcast. Today's weather, there's the occluded low pressure system that's sitting just north of Dutch, and then a trailing occluded front that's falling apart with a warm frontal that's falling apart also over the Akpen, as well as the cold front that's falling apart over the lower Gulf. And high pressure dominating over the Anchorage Bowl, mostly clear skies, sunny skies north of there through the Copper River Basin in the Alaska Range. Southeast as well, mostly sunny skies there. There is some moisture that's starting to come into the farther south along the Hattagai region with the trailing the weak low pressure system east of there, but otherwise it's pretty nice. And then over the Bering, you have again the scattered wintry snow showers through the Bering, rain and snow. Snow and rain, snow showers through that region, and then as the cooler air makes it down to the west of Shemya, near Shemya, you'll get some snow showers filtering down into Shemya region. Along the Arctic coastline, you have, again, that easterly flow, that weak trough pushing through, so you'll have continued snow and some blowing snow. Dead Horse was reporting 3 miles of blowing snow before I came over this afternoon. Then tonight's forecast, continued high pressure dominating from the central interior here, south central all the way up to central interior, as well as the southeast as this ridge of high pressure extends out down to the southeast panhandle. So it's going to be a gorgeous night tonight. Plenty of stars to see. And then over in the Bering, you have that occluded low that's going to fall, continue to sit there and fill and gradually weaken. The trailing occluded front that will continue to fall apart. So southeasterly flow along the eastern Bering and the southeast or southwest coastline. That's where most of the light rain will be. And then farther out west, the western Bering, extending down to the Shemya region, that wintry mix you'll have there. And then that weak trough is pushing through the Shemya region. So I'll bring more cooler air and snow showers in there. Thursday forecast, pretty much high pressure dominate again over the central interior, south central, and southwest, and then a weak trough extending the Arctic coastline. So continued light snow and blowing snow that will start to move off into the lower Beaufort Sea. The included low that's the next low, I should say, will move into the western Bering, and that'll bring a continued wintry mix on the backside with the cooler temperatures. Out ahead, southeast flow through the Bering, and the northern Bering, you'll have southeast flow and some light rain. The southeast, you'll have high pressure sitting over the southeast panhandle and a occluded front that's south of Hattagwai. So with this southeasterly push, you'll have some moisture that will filter into the southeast panhandle, and you'll get some light rain. Friday's forecast, high pressure, the continued southeasterly flow with that low pressure system south of the Gulf, so plenty of moisture that's going to be filtering in, and so most of the northern coastal communities south, the Kenai extending down to Kodak will have light rain, and then the Anchorage Bowl will have a dry slot out, and then along the Alaska Range and Aleutian Range you'll have some light rain. And now that'll continue to downslope out and dry out the southwest interior there, as well all the way up to central interior. You'll have, and the Arctic coastline, you'll have mostly sunny skies for Friday. And then that snow showers and blowing snow will be farther off into the Beaufort Sea, so that'll be nice there. Along the lower Chukchi and the northern Bering Sea, you'll have a wintry mix of scattered snow showers, snow and rain snow showers as you get to the St. Lawrence region, and then scattered showers into the central Gulf extending down into the eastern Bering region, with the next low pressure system sitting over just east of Dutch, and a weak trough extending to the northwest. Along the western chain, you'll have a weak trough extending up through to Kamchatka Peninsula, so you'll have some scattered snow showers with that, with the cooler air in that region. And as well, the southeast, as I mentioned before, continued onshore flow there and light rain. To temperatures, as 2 p.m., it's pretty toasty with the southeast panhandle, again with that southerly push, warm air. You had 66 degrees coming there at Seward, British Columbia, and you had 60 at Heidelberg, 59 at Kloak, 51 at Sitka. And then as you go into the northern coast, Prince William Sound, Valdezia had 45, Anchorage at 46. You had 42 at Talkeetna. Farther north along the just North Alaska range, you had 55 at Fairbanks, and Fort Greely came in at 52. Along the southwest and the lower Kuskokwim Valley, you had 52 at McGrath, 54 at Sleepmute, and then 52 at Aniak as you go down, and 52 at Bethel. And then the southwest at Bristol Bay interior, you had 53 there for a high at 2 p.m. at King Salmon. Temperatures as 2 p.m. farther north, not surprisingly cooler with the cooler air and the easterly flow, 14 degrees at Barrow, a little warmer there at Katovik at 22, and then at Point Hope you came in at 37 degrees. And you go down the Bering Strait here, it starts to warm up a little bit with this easterly flow and push of warm air, so 32 there at Gamble. Temperatures along the chain, pretty much Yakpen, the mid-40s, and then you go along the chain here, the Alaska Peninsula, that is, you have 41 at Cold Bay, 41 at Dutch, and then 39 at Atka, 41 at Adak, and then 39 at Shemya. And the Pribilofs were St. Matthew and St. George were both 39. Tonight's low temperatures, again, the coolest will be along the Arctic coastline, 13 at Barrow. Pretty much in the southwest, so you're going to be in the upper 30s to lower 40s. And then southeast, you're going to have temperatures in the mid 30s to mid 40s, 46 there at Pelican. And then along the Aleutian chain, you're going to have in the lower 40s, 35 coming in there at Shemya, with the cooler northwesterly winds, northeasterly winds coming in there. Tomorrow's high temperatures, pretty balmy with the southerly flow, push a high southerly warm air and high pressure over the south central region. You have 60 degrees high tomorrow over McKinley Park, 59 there at Talkeetna. Over the southeast, they're going to be pretty toasty also with the southerly push, warmer air coming in from the Pacific, and you're going to be all 61 there at Juneau. And then along the chain, pretty much lower mid 40s, and then 39 at Shemya again. Flying weather, marginal to IFR conditions, again with this northeasterly flow, low stratus with the occluded system out here, sitting in here in the near the Pribilofs. Then along the southeast Alaska Peninsula, again you're going to have the trailing weak occluded front that's washing out, so you're going to have that onshore flow there, southeasterly flow. And then marginal to IFR along the Arctic coastline, again with that system, that easterly winds and lower temperatures, and moisture being pumped in. Also, you have a swath going through the southwest interior here, extending it up just north of Bethel, also along the Alaska Peninsula and the Aleutian Range. And for this afternoon, you'll have a swath over just south of Hattaway, but your marginal to IFR conditions will continue to be over the Alaska Peninsula, extending into the eastern Bering and the northern Bering, also along the marginal to IFR along the Arctic coastline. And that swath just north of Shemya, again, you'll have the lower conditions there. Tomorrow's past conditions, AKwx VFR conditions. Adigan VFR conditions, Lake Clark and Merrill, MVFR to VFR, then rainy VFR conditions, windy VFR conditions, Isabel VFR conditions, Mentasca VFR conditions, Tanita VFR conditions, Portage VFR conditions, Chillicook and White VFR conditions, and then tomorrow morning's freezing level. The surface is all the way up here through the lower Chukchi Sea and extend along the Brooks Range, again with the cooler air right here. And then extend also just east of the Kamchatka Peninsula with a strong high pressure sitting over the central region, extending all the way down to the southeast panhandle. You can see the southerly push of warmer air, higher freezing levels, 2,000 feet there along the just south of the Brooks Range, and it's higher as you go down as the ridge of high pressure extending off. They're just northeast of Hattaway region, so 8,000 feet. So pretty much high freezing levels there. No surprise with the ridge of high pressure in that region. Tomorrow's icing, 5 to 10,000 feet, 6 to 10,000 feet over the Alaska Peninsula, so 5 to 10 through the Bering, central Bering, and western. Below 4,000 along the Arctic coastline. And tomorrow's jet stream, same pattern, northwesterly flow, and it's digging down in the base of the long wave trough, and then it starts transitioning as you get south of south of Hattaway, but transitions to southeasterly flow and high pressure over the lower 48 that extends up through the British Columbia region. So then you have over the low over the Yukon Bay area, and that's northwesterly flow transitions to southeasterly at 115. And then over this Alaska Peninsula, you have a southeasterly flow at 60 knots, as well as finger jet easterly become northerly over the Kamchatka Peninsula. Tomorrow's 9,000 foot winds. These low pressure systems, the cyclonic flow, so 15 to 25 knots around 30 on the backside over there, Kamchatka Peninsula. The one along the Alaska Peninsula, southeasterly flow, 20 to 30 knots. And then as you go over the Gulf, you have the weak low pressure system, 30 knots, 15 on the backside. Along the Alaska southeast panhandle, southeasterly 35, then diminishes over the southwest and central interior, 15 to 25 knots. Farther along the Arctic coastline, you'd have easterly 20 knots. Tomorrow's 3,000 foot winds. Again, the low pressure systems over the western Bering, over the Dutch region, cyclonic flow. The one over both regions, 25 knots on the front side, and then northwesterly 10 knots on the back side, 15 on the one over sitting there south of Kamchatka Peninsula. Pretty weak. The interior, southwest and central interior, southeasterly flow, 10 to 15 knots. A little stronger along the Arctic coastline, 20 knots easterly. And then the southeast panhandle, southeasterly flow, but you're going to have a weak low just sitting northeast of Hattaway region. So light winds there, 5 knots. Then tomorrow's turbulence. You're going to have light to occasional moderate along the Alaska Peninsula, extending to the YK Delta region and Nunavik Island. So that swath right there. Then the other swath over here, sitting over the Alaska, the Kamchatka Peninsula region, you're going to have 4,000 to 6,000 feet. And then below 4,000 along the Arctic coastline, light to occasional moderate. And then in the Yukon Territory there, you're going to have below 4,000. And then the southeast panhandle, you're going to have below 4,000. We'll be back with the Marines after this.
Hello everyone and welcome to Alaska Weather Facts. I'm Jim Peranto. Today in the studio I have the pleasure of talking to Jeff Oshinsky, who's the meteorologist in charge at the Alaska Aviation Weather Unit, and he's going to talk to us about the vital products and services that the Aviation Weather Unit provides to not only Alaska, but the rest of the world. Welcome, Jeff.
Well, welcome. I'm glad to be here, Jim. Thank you very much for allowing me to come in.
Yeah. Let's start off first where the Aviation Weather Unit is located at, because I think that's important, and how it's configured.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, we're located in the National Weather Service Forecast Office building over in Anchorage, and we are a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week operation, and we have a staff of 12 employees total, and we run 2 forecast desks. And we basically split the state of Alaska up into 2 regions, south of the Alaska Range, which is the south desk, and then up to the north is our northern forecast desk. So that's kind of how we're configured.
Okay, and what types of text products are you producing out of the unit?
Okay, we have a variety of text products that we issue, probably the most important of which would probably be our SIGMET, which is our official aviation warning. We issue that for severe turbulence, icing, low-level wind shear, volcanic ash, and a number of other aviation hazards.
Okay, and then you also do some graphical products as well, don't you?
Yes, we do put out a suite of graphic products. There are several that we issue during the course of the day. Every 6 hours we issue 4 particular graphics charts that cover surface weather, turbulence, icing, and IFR and MVFR areas. And we also twice a day issue significant weather progs for 24, 36, and 48 hours out in the future.
And later on in the segment, I'll give out the website because it has a lot of the graphical products that you were just describing, and we'll get the information out to the folks at home. What kinds of things do the aviation forecasters look at when they're preparing a forecast? I know that there's distinct zones that the Aviation Weather Unit looks at when they're putting out an area forecast. So what kinds of things are they looking at?
Well, that's a good question. We have 25 zones in the state, and we try to break them up into climatological regions. You know, the state of Alaska is so diverse with all the varied topography and weather going on that we try to make each of the zones similar in that the same types of weather are occurring. However, because the state is so large, we do run into some difficulties with trying to differentiate between one zone and another. So to help us do that, we look at satellite imagery, pilot reports, weather observations at the surface, and meteorological model data off our computer systems.
It's a daunting task, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And we try to keep the product brief, but on the other hand, we're trying to put as much information, give as much information to the pilot as we can, so we're always trying to balance that.
Now, aside from the duties and responsibilities you're just mentioning, I understand that the Aviation Weather Unit also functions on an international scale as well.
Right. We have a second kind of hat that we wear. We're a volcanic ash advisory center, and it's an international office. So it's kind of interesting. There are 9 of these centers in the world. Anchorage is one of those, and we actually cover a much broader area. We cover the whole flight information region for Alaska, which goes all the way up to the North Pole and down to the Canadian border, out toward eastern Russia, and we actually pick up a good piece of Far East Russia as well that we have responsibility for.
Wow, that's huge.
Yes.
And just why is it so important to get volcanic ash information to the pilots? I know some of the folks out there already know that, but just to reiterate, why is this such an important piece to get out to the pilots?
Well, it's very, very critical. First of all, volcanic ash is a very abrasive material. It has certain characteristics that just don't lend themselves to match up well with aircraft. It's being abrasive, it can abrade windshields. For jet aircraft that have engines that operate at high temperatures, it can actually turn that ash into glass material and clog intakes. It can actually flame out engines as well, and we've had instances of that even up here in Alaska in the past. So because of past experiences, we've really come into this new science of understanding volcanic ash and really the impacts that it has on aviation.
And didn't the KLM jet, wasn't that one of the big episodes that we've had?
Right, that was the big one back in '89, when that KLM jet actually lost all 4 of its engines, and descended through, I believe it was 11,000 feet or so. They were able to restart the engines, but the aircraft was damaged beyond belief. Actually, I think it was $80 million worth of damage it suffered. And as a result of that, a lot of work was put into really studying volcanic ash and ways to be able to track the ash as it moves from the source region across the airspace.
Now, you've been in this position for just a short period of time, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
So how
yeah.
is it going? I mean,
Good. I like it. I like it a lot. I've always liked aviation. I've worked up here in Alaska in the past, several years ago at the Air Traffic Control Center. And Alaska is just a very unique place. And aviation, the aviation users out there are just a real good group of people. We get a lot of feedback. And I feel in this position, we can work with our customers to really improve our services and products that we issue. And that's the way we operate. We really like the feedback and like to kind of move forward from where we are. So.
And people can give feedback to you by calling up the Aviation Weather Unit.
Absolutely.
Or they can email you directly.
Right, yeah.
And I also invite the folks out there to check out their website, because it's got a lot of good information on there. I use a lot of the information when preparing the Alaska Weather Show every day. So I invite the folks out there to check out your website, because it's got a lot of really good information.
Right, that's great.
And thank you for coming on in today, Jeff.
Well,
I really appreciate the information. It's always nice to see you. I see you all the time
that's
at
true.
the forecast
That's right.
office.
That's
but
right.
Maybe we'll get you in sometime down the road again.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, Jim.
And thank you for joining us here on Alaska Weather Facts. Until next time.
Welcome back to your Alaska weather. I'm meteorologist Percy. Now starting off with the sea surface ice forecast. Continued ice pack, through the lower Chukchi and the northern Bering. We are starting getting some open waters here just south of St. Lawrence Island, as well as the ice pack is starting to pull away from the Norton Sound region and the western, southwestern coastal areas there. So look for this ice pack to continue to move westward in the next several days. Thursday's forecast for the southeast, pretty much southeasterly flow coming in the Dixon entrance, and then it's northerly up to Lynn Canal, small craft there by Lynn Canal. The outside waters, southeasterly flow, except easterly near Yakutat, 15 knots, and wave heights will be 5 to 6 feet on the outside waters. Friday's southeast forecast will continued southeasterly flow along the inner to south near Dixon waters, and then northerly flow less than small craft up to Lynn Canal, 20 knots, and then the outside waters continued weak winds at 15 knots, southerly to southeasterly north of Sitka to Yakutat. And then Thursday for south central, predominantly all northeasterly from the Prince William Sound along the eastern Kenai, as well as easterly through the Barren Islands and just south of Kodiak. Through the northern and southern Cook Inlet, you have northerly winds at 15, then northeasterly extending down to the Shelikof, and a little stronger going through the Shelikof region at 25 knots. And then Friday for south central, continued easterly to northeasterly, then east as you get on down from the Barrens to Kodiak region. It's pretty much small craft winds here. And then from the northern to southern Cook Inlet, northeasterly flow, then easterly small craft winds going through the Barren Islands section, and then northeasterly 20 through Shelikof. And then Thursday for the Alaska Peninsula, predominantly all easterly, small craft winds, southeasterly on the Pacific side there, just south of King Cove region. And then Friday for Alaska Peninsula, on the Bering side, easterly winds, small craft from Perryville down to Cape Sarashef. And then near the Sherikoff Islands, easterly small craft winds there. And you do have westerly winds starting to kick in here, just south of King Cove region. And then Thursday along the Aleutians, again, you're going to have be on the backside of this low pressure system. It's sitting over here in the central Bering, western Bering. So a westerly flow here along the chain there from Sheme approaching the Adak and Aka. And this starts diminishing to 10 knots. And then over Dutch, you're going to have northwesterly 15 knots. And then Friday, northerly flow there through Shemya, become more westerly, pretty much all the way through the chain out to the eastern Aleutians and central there. So you can see pretty much 15 to 20 knots, wave heights 8 to 10 feet on the Pacific side. Then Thursday for the west coast, predominantly the northern Bering through the YK Delta and Bristol Bay region, easterly flow, southeasterly through the Pribilof region. And again, pretty much small craft winds, wave heights anywhere from 3 to 8 feet, a little stronger there, a little higher there through the Kuskokwim Bay area. And then Friday, you're going to have easterly flow through the Bering, northern Bering, and then northeasterly through the central Bering and near Nunavik Island, and easterly through the Bristol Bay region, northeast through the Pribilofs. And then Thursday, Arctic coastline, you're going to have gale force there near Kaktovik, and then it diminishes to all small craft as you get towards Barrow, all easterly flow extending, and it weakens, diminishes as you get down towards the lower Chukchi Sea, northeasterly flow through the Bering Strait there at 15 knots. Then Friday, a continued easterly flow, strongest over the Kaktovik region, a gale force, and then diminishes to small craft, and then that's below small craft, a northerly flow through the lower Chukchi Sea and the Bering Strait. Tonight's forecast, high pressure sitting over the central interior, south central, and that extends up through the south central region. Weak trough pushing through the Brooks Range, bringing blowing snow and snow issues along there. The southeast, beautiful skies, high pressure ridge extending over them, so mostly sunny for this afternoon, and then mostly clear tonight. The south central, eastern Kenai and the Kodiak region, easterly flow with this weak trough, occluded front that's starting to fall apart, so you'll have onshore flow and some light rain there, and that'll spill over into the southeast panhandle. The southeast peninsula, southwest peninsula, that is, not southeast. And then that'll mostly be along the coastline. And then you have that weak occluded low pressure system sitting in the central Bering there. So farther west, you'll have that wintry mix. And then Shemi, you'll have a low pressure system with a weak trough. You'll have a wintry mix there as well. And then for Thursday's forecast, high pressure dominating the south central and the northern interior. Thank you for watching tonight. See you tomorrow.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Condor Airlines, offering nonstop service from Ted Stevens International Airport to Germany and beyond. Featuring refurbished cabins and new seats with individual entertainment systems available on all Condor long-haul flights. More information at condor.com. Condor, born to fly.